Thank you
Exactly.
very much for giving us a call here tonight. It actually doesn't even apply to her. Let me get caller from area code 856. You're on live with the business. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Anna calling from Fredericksburg, Virginia, by way of Mount Holly, New Jersey.
All right, Anna from Fredericksburg. What's on your mind?
Yes, I have two questions. So the first one is Derrick Jackson, it's an honest question, is he justified in his infidelity with his wife? Because, like, prior to what we discovered tonight, is he justified in his infidelity with his wife? And the second thing is, I know someone who's a mutual friend of my group of friends, young couple, just like me and my husband, and, good looking couple, if you ask me, gorgeous wife. She shares a son with him. They don't have any kids from an outside relationship, and they seem to live a pretty good, decent life. But a couple of our friends have said, "Hey, we know Chris is cheating," and I'm like, looking at them like, "Well, how do you know?" Because it's a pretty, heavy allegation. And they just showed me like a rack of
Okay.
different
Well,
females.
why don't we come to that second
Yeah,
one here first? Because we're kind of dragging there. But the first one is he
sure.
justified in doing this? I don't think I would ever use the word justified. I don't think that's a justified thing. I'm just like, that's going, if you're upset with your partner, is that's going pretty deep. If you start sleeping with other people, you have to be careful about weaponizing sex, because sex is a very important thing in a relationship. It's one of the only things that separates your relationship to this woman from literally every other human being on the planet. You might have a lot of friends, you might have a lot of family. You ain't sleeping with them. You're not having intercourse with them. So that's the thing that makes a distinction between this human being and all the others. It's like, by the way, I done seen all your nooks and crannies as opposed to the rest of the folk here. So you're the only person, hopefully, at the dinner table at Thanksgiving that you've seen naked, hopefully. So what I'm saying is, if you weaponize that kind of intimate, personal, vulnerable thing, just understand that that's a very serious line to cross. That's a super serious line to cross, because sex in a relationship, if it means nothing, it either means something or it means nothing. And that's a serious line to cross. You can't sit up here and pick and choose when it means something. That's like for a female. Females can't have sex with just any old body. If a female tells you, oh, it was just sex, she's worthless. If she can sleep with a man and feel nothing, that it doesn't take some connection for her, then guess what? It doesn't take one for you either, no matter what she tells you. So this is really a bad thing. Now, in his case, this is the mother of your children and you're presenting her publicly. Forget sex. You are giving other women status over this woman. As a man, we are supposed to be chief protector and provider. If you're telling yourself that if I provide at such a high level, I don't have to be a competent protector. Now, that's a grown man trying to act like a boy. Because I can provide at a high level, I'm alleviated from my responsibility of protection. No, you're supposed to protect this woman's image. If you don't have a side chick, you need to protect that. So is he justified? I would never use the word justified, because what that implies is is he all right for him to weaponize sex? No, that's never okay. Never. Now, does her behavior drive you up the damn wall? I imagine it does. Let me tell you. Negro, I would see her like once a year. Is the kids all right? She would get a text message from me about every 3 or 4 days, but us on the same roof, oh no, glad it's a big enough house. I can sleep upstairs, she can sleep downstairs or whatever. I'm gonna build a wing for myself. But beyond that, no, this sexual acting out is indefensible. Now, what was the second part of what you were saying?
Yes, and thank you for explaining that. I guess I meant more so like for him, because not saying that you do this, you never do this, but some men will justify that type of behavior from a man against his wife. And then the second thing is, my husband and I have a group of mutual friends, and a couple weeks ago, and it's gotten more progressive. I've been trying to ignore it, and so is he, because we don't want any part of that drama. But there's a mutual couple, if you will, within our group of friends where the husband's cheating on his wife. And, I had to just sit back and think to myself, I'm like, well, because I don't know, like, deeply about their relationship, but perceptually they're happy. You know, she's gorgeous. They're a young couple like us. They have one child. They seem to be very well off. And he always says that they're happy. She says they're happy. I'm like, okay, well, you know, like I told one of the females from the other couple who told me, I said, that's a heavy allegation. I'm like, how do you know that he is cheating on her? And then she showed me a lot of, you know, different women. I said, how do you know this without being one of those women? Because to me,
Okay,
it's
well,
just like,
okay,
you know,
here's the thing. Our time is limited. Can you give us the Reader's Digest version of what are you trying to ask?
I'm asking if a man says that he's happy with his marriage, beautiful wife, good life, you know, one kid, how can a man step out on his wife with a bunch of other women if he claims that he's happy and things are good? That's basically my question.
It's the facade. It sounds like a facade. Everybody bought into the same facade. Like, I'm trying to figure out what it is that you're asking, though. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's basically, if a man says he's happy with his wife and things look good, they're doing well financially and everything else, how can he step out on his wife with a bunch of other women based off of what me and my husband have been shown or have been told? You know, I'm like, how is that possible if you claim you're happy and things seem to be going well? How could you sleep around with a bunch of other women? Is basically my question.
It's a facade.
Okay, you're saying how can you say that you're happy in a marriage and you're sleeping with other women?
Yes, as a man.
Okay. Well, first of all, I explained this before here, but it's compartmentalization. First of all, it's not for everybody. That's the first thing, okay? It's not for everybody. Every man can't handle having more than one female just because biologically they want to and whatnot. If you're with a fellow who's reckless, if you're with a fellow who doesn't know what he's doing or whatever, that's the thing. So it's on a case-by-case basis. I'm a firm believer that a man has to, if you're going to be going down that road, you got to sit up here and you got to earn that. That's not something you just put in the hands of every man. That's power. And every man's not ready and available for that. Furthermore, men compartmentalize because we must. That's how we become competent protectors and providers. I always give the example that a man can have sex with you without loving you the same way that we can fight somebody without hating them. There's a reason why we were able to create combat sports. So the two most important things that, because for a woman can't really just walk up to nobody and smash their face, literally trying to do serious bodily harm unless she's emotionally invested. Furthermore, she cannot really lay down with them and give them her all unless she is emotionally invested. A man can do both of those things, and our emotional investment is in our purpose. We don't have to have an emotional drive or motivation. This is our purpose. This is what I need to do. So this is an act that needs to be performed. I don't have to be emotionally involved with it. If I can make this a little more down to earth, Brother Neely Fuller gives a concept that really explains it very well. As men, we're not confused. You see, when Derrick Jackson bags some dumb, goofy broad in Midtown, she thinks this nigga is really considering her for marriage. So when he throws her in the bed and start flip-flopping it, she's really telling herself that she is edging his wife out of the picture. Now, unfortunately for her, when he hops out of bed with her, he's not confused. He knows he's not leaving his wife. He knows he needs her to be his beard and his image. He ain't leaving his woman. That's a story you swallowing. He's not confused. You confused. He's not confused. So you see, that's how men can do it. For a woman, she can't go to that extent and not start becoming confused. Why? Because sex is a vulnerable act for you. Sex requires vulnerability for you. It requires dominance from a man, and it requires vulnerability for you. This is why men, when you start talking about gay sex, that's a man understands, hey, that's the height of vulnerability. So as a woman, I want y'all to understand, by the way, all my internet haters and whatnot, and the guys out there who are saying everything I'd say and everything, new concept for them all, because they all talk about how sex is a man asserting dominance. They haven't put it in this context. Why does this work? Understand, everybody, take your notes here. Once again, sex requires vulnerability for a female and dominance for a male. So you see, we can be dominant and she can be vulnerable. You can't engage in that act without vulnerability. You can't. I don't care if you're with a beta. You are allowing him to dominate you. By definition, you must allow that to do so. Now, you can just say that you're getting your itches scratched or whatever, but you're having to allow that to occur. You're having to allow that. So you see, for a man, it's a completely different scenario. Completely different. But then that doesn't mean that everybody needs to have it, but it's a completely different thing. So I hope that explains why it is a man can sleep with another woman. He'll even sleep with a group of women and come out of it and he's not confused. He wasn't being dominated. He wasn't being vulnerable. He wasn't being emasculated. He was dominating all of them, but emotionally, he has not made it. He slept with all of them and emotionally made a connection to none. Now, you have to be careful as a woman, because eventually, if he does this long enough, he may start compartmentalizing you. Now, what I have found in my life experience is that generally it depends on how long he's with the woman. If he's doing this from an early age, look out, he's probably going to check you out. If he gets older and he's never done it before, but then one day he gets up in his damn 30s and decides, ooh, play a stage, you're about to get checked out. But if he's been with you since y'all were young, he's not going anywhere. He's emotionally invested. He's emotionally attached. He's kind of built his life around it. It's more convenient for him to keep you where you are. So under those circumstances, yeah. But in my experience, those other two, you're probably getting ready to get your ticket punched.
And thank you for explaining that, because that was something that, I couldn't really understand, just because I don't have that type of situation, thankfully enough. And to the haters in the chat, like, I'd rather ask Jason, because he has a whole bunch of experience, life experience, much more than I do. So who better to ask? Because I know I can get a well-rounded, well-shaped answer on my question. It does not reflect on my marriage, thankfully enough, but it's just that it's something that neither one of us, my husband and I, could even understand, because we don't operate like that. So to all the haters in the chat, y'all can shut the hell up, for real.
Well, it also depends on the value of the man. I mean, if you have a low value man, that Negro needs to go to work at 8 a.m, be home promptly at 6, and that's the way he's got to move. If you're dealing with a man who presents more, just understand more will be required. So if you want to get on that, if you want to ride that train, you better be ready to pay the ticket. Thank you very much.